Fans, it's Morgan here, back again with another episode. A little bit late tonight just because of the fact that, well, uh, right when work ended at 5 o'clock, wifey calls and she says she's going out of town and she says, "Hey, uh, I forgot XYZ. And by the way, I'm all the way across town. Can you come bring it to me?" And I said, "Well, babe, it's Thursday. I have my show. So I can't miss the show. I got to start at 7 o'clock. Well, babe, it'd really be special. It'd be so meaningful if you just would make sure you could bring the stuff to me right now." Well, it's across town. I know it's across town. It would really mean a lot to me if you would just bring it to me. Okay, babe. Okay, so that's what I did. I brought it to her, knowing that it was going to make me a little bit late. It ended up making me 30 minutes late, which is better than what I thought. I thought I was going to be started until, much later. But I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for getting in and being a part of the show tonight. I know there'd be a lot less people tonight, I assume, because, I'm late. We got a lot to talk about, though. And while we're on the show, I was going to try to change my workspace here. I was going to try to make a new screen. I don't have a ton of time to make new screens and stuff like that. So I was going to try to make a screen here while we're on the show. Because, I share my screen a lot. And I'd like to make it bigger. I got a new program that I use for streaming. And so I'm going to try something different. Welcome in. Thank you for being a part of the show. And Tickle Tiger, thank you for getting in. Kevron, thank you for getting in. Already got some questions getting in. But let's take a look and see what's going on in the world of Clemson. Obviously, today, Clemson had, their media day, basically, where they came out and discussed their thoughts at the ACC kickoff, I guess is what they'll call it. Not the media day, but the ACC kickoff. And, there are a few things out there that Dabo Swinney said, that Cade Klubnik said, Tyler Davis, and Will Putnam. Not a surprising pick of guys, to be honest with you. Kind of makes sense to me that they would pick Cade Klubnik and Will Putnam, your most advanced or senior offensive lineman, then Tyler Davis, I'm thinking your most senior defensive lineman as well. So it made sense that they brought him in. While we're doing that, though, let's work on this screen here. So I'm gonna make a screen, and what I'm gonna try to do is take what we currently have and make a copy. You guys are going to have to watch me or wait for me as I do this. What I'm going to try to do is make my screen smaller here. And see if this works. I think this will work. All right, so let's start out with Dabo Swinney's video. I wanted to look at some of the videos that were posted today over on YouTube. And kind of listen in on some of the things that were said during media day, ACC kickoff day, if you will. And let's see. So we got let me pull up Tyler Davis here. I want to start with Tyler Davis video first. Here we go. And then, all right, now you can, now I'll be able to push it to you so you can kind of see here. I guess I kind of want to make the chat transparent so you don't have to see that. Somebody from Greenwood calling me. Here we go. Oh, here we go. Now I like this. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this. And my Stream Deck is not working to mute my microphone, so bear with me here. John Sarian gets in and says, no surprises from today. No surprises. I guess, it's kind of a good day, right? When there's no surprises. So for whatever reason, my microphone is not registering. Oh well, not registering my microphone on my buttons here. So it is what it is, I guess. Trying to go through my tech support as I run through it. Let's see if we can play Tyler Davis's video. I think it's more than just Tyler Davis. Let's see if we can play it and you can hear it.
Said, how does it feel to kind of surpass those guys and kind of be your own man out of nicknames that, again, come from legends in the program?
It feels great, just to be even considered with those guys in the same breath. They did legendary things there, but it feels amazing. It definitely feels amazing.
Going to go left side, Tyler, gentleman with his hand way in the air all the way towards the wall.
Hey, Tyler, Pete Yacovelli, Associated Press. What made you want to come back to Clemson?
Me, just knowing that I can maximize myself here. I got guys, me and Root talked about it. We know that we got Coach Eason, just got there, and we feel like we had one of our best years just being over here for 1 year. Then we got our strength coaches, Coach Batson, Dennis Love. Coach Dennis Love, he prepared me. My body never felt the way it felt ever since I've been there. So I just knowing all those and knowing all that, I said, why not? Why not have this chance to go win a natty, knowing that I got, the best linebacker duo, and got guys like JP, Sheridan, Nate Wiggins, RJ Mickens, AJ McCool back there in the secondary. Why not just go and have one of the best defense and go win a natty?
First row.
So interesting there. He starts out with a question about, what was the reason for Tyler Davis coming back? Obviously, you remember he didn't have to return to Clemson this year. He could have gone to the NFL. Many people felt like he should have went to the NFL instead of going to stay at Clemson. I think it's a great pickup for Clemson, as Dabo likes to say, that that he recruited his own roster to stay and be with the football team and enhance this team. Obviously, he's a graduate player, 6'2", 300 pounds, and a 2022 All-American, 3-time All-ACC guy, back-to-back first-team honors in 2021 and 2022. In 2023, here's some more details on Tyler Davis. Tied with Christian Wilkins, Dexter Lawrence, and William Perry, 3 each, for most career All-ACC selections by a defensive tackle in Clemson history, company befitting a player named Baby Dex by Dabo Swinney and Mini Fridge by KJ Henry. Made an immediate impact at Clemson, earning a starting role in his first career game as a true freshman in 2019 and becoming a key interior piece for Clemson's defense ever since, credited with 122 total tackles, 26 tackles for loss, 15 and a half sacks, 4 pass breakups, 3 fumble recoveries, has played 1,551 snaps over 43 games and 39 starts. To be honest with you, I really didn't think coming out that Tyler Davis would be that immediate impact guy like he has been. It's been really great to see Tyler Davis mature into the player that he is today. I can't say when they said, "Oh, baby Dex," I thought, okay, that's a little bit, that's a little bit much, maybe not. When he came in, he seemed like a kind of a chubby kid. Not gonna be disrespectful or anything. It just seemed like, he wasn't very muscular. He was a little bit more, soft around the edges. I felt like it might take him a couple of years to break into the strength of college football and the speed of college football, and I was completely wrong. I mean, he was able, as I mentioned, to start at the very beginning and not have a lot of, issues ever since. I mean, he hit the ground running, and not only that, has become a leader on the team for a long time. And as Tickle Tiger gets in and says, "Baby face," and that's for sure. Like when he got here, when you looked at him in person, the baby face type thing was true. I mean, it felt like he was just too young, needed to grow up, needed to get bigger. And I don't mean like grow up like he was immature, because I really didn't know him as a person, but just the way he looked was like, man, this is a very young kid who needs to mature at the college level. But he was ready. I mean, it's very cool to see how far he has come for Clemson. And how good he has been, and the fact that really he gave up the opportunity to go to the NFL this year and probably be drafted pretty high. And when asked why is he staying, well, to me, there's no other reason other than to win the national championship. I mean, he has to think that this team can do it. He has to believe in that. I don't know if you believe in it or not yourself, but he obviously has confidence not only with his coaching staff, but, with the new coaches that are on board. He wanted to be a part of the new coaches. And he has extreme confidence in his linebackers behind him, which I don't think anybody in this chat is surprised that he would have confidence in Barrett Carter and Jeremiah Trotter, right? I mean, who wouldn't have the confidence in those two guys? Even Wade Woodaz, who wouldn't have confidence in those guys behind you? And then, as he mentioned, he kind of was the first one, was he not, to say, I'm going to stay, and I'm going to continue at Clemson for one more year. And then the other guys kind of fell into place. And even KJ Henry had joked about, well, now I want to stay. Now I wish I wouldn't have left. Sheridan Jones ended up staying, and Jalen Phillips ended up staying. Ruka Roro ended up staying. So XT obviously ended up staying because I think he would probably have stayed regardless. But a lot of these guys stayed, and he was the first one to say that they were gonna, continue to be at Clemson. I thought that was a big difference factor for Clemson in 2023, specifically with the roster. So interesting to see. His goal is a national championship. Do you really feel like that's a realistic goal for this team? Honestly, from a defensive point of view, it's hard to say, no, that's not a realistic goal. I mean, it is a realistic goal from a defensive point of view. From an offensive point of view, it's still kind of hard for me to say this team is ready to be a national championship team. It's really hard for me to say that because of all the unknowns, because of the players that we have on the team, that Clemson has on the team, that we don't know how they're going to react to Garrett Riley's offense. We know what they've said. What they've said about how they've reacted. They said that they are excited, that they've been reinvigorated, that it's like new life breathed into the program, and they seem hyped up. But is that just preseason hype, or is that real hype? We will see. I think it's real, to be honest, but we will have to see. Now, I don't want this to be, that would be the thing I would be worried about. Could this be another one of those years where the defense had what they had to make it to the playoffs, but the offense just could not keep up? I think that's why Garrett Riley was brought in, to try to help figure out how to keep the offense up to the level that the defense is performing at, and do that over an entire year. Can Garrett Riley do that? I think so. Now, some of the people who disagree with that would say, well, Morgan, Garrett Riley has only won at TCU and Southern Methodist, and those aren't very good teams, and TCU made it all the way, and look what happened to them at Georgia. They got destroyed at Georgia. I get it. I mean, that is definitely a concern. TCU ran into Georgia and could not even stay competitive at all. That was a concern. That's a concern for Garrett Riley. Garrett Riley has to figure that out. Was it the roster that a lot of Clemson fans say? Well, it was just the roster. TCU was never going to compete with Georgia, so it really is not an issue with Garrett Riley as much as it is an issue with the roster. Is that true or not? I don't know, but I know that is a concern from the outside of Clemson to say, as an opposing fan would say, oh yeah, but Garrett Riley is a Broyles Award winner, but Garrett Riley took his team to the national championship, but Georgia. Now, I think Garrett Riley is going to want to get rid of that label as well. I mean, whether or not it's a true label, I don't know. But I think still the jury is out. Can he prove that he can hang with the best of the best with a much better roster? Well, Clemson is that team that can hang in the past. They have been able to. So can Garrett Riley do that for the Tigers? We will have to see. We'll have to see first. Let's continue with Tyler Davis at ACC kickoff.
Row right to your left. First row left.
Dame Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coming back, kind of going off of that, coming back for this season and having one more ride with this team, just what you can say about the team over self at Clemson and how that's emphasized by the coaching staff.
The team, I'll say one thing about our team, we're very accountable. Like we're competitive and accountable, and we hold each other to that, and we try to compete every day against each other and try to just hold ourselves to our standard.
All right, he continues here saying that he's accountable, holds the team is accountable, holds himself accountable. Dabo Swinney has mentioned that as well, just very accountable. I think they got the biggest, the highest accountability scores of any team Dabo has had. I really don't know how I feel about that. Chat, you're going to have to help me with this. What does this really mean? Accountability. What does this really mean in the off season? We're talking about going to your lifts, going to your workouts, going to your extra practices, your player ran practices, your player ran workouts. Is the majority of the team attending those? And why is it now they're attending it versus last year and the year before? What has really changed? Can you say that Garrett Riley is the difference? Why would Garrett Riley be the sole difference for everything? Why would he improve accountability? Something else is going on with the team to where they are being bragged about as being the most accountable. Maybe I would say my first thing off the top of my head would be is possibly that they have better leadership on this team. They have guys that have gone through and proven themselves on the defensive side of the ball. They have the running backs on the offensive side of the ball, and obviously Cade Klubnik a little bit more of a leader now that it's his second year into it. Brian Frederick gets in and says the media needs to probe further on what Dabo means by accountability. Yeah, I don't really know a ton about what the scorecard is or how they get that. I'm assuming it has to do with the workouts that they have to do. You know, you have a certain amount of workouts that they schedule for you to do during the off season. I remember when I played soccer, you know, the strength and conditioning coach or one of the interns or whoever would give you nowadays they have everything on iPads and stuff, but they would give you a piece of paper with what you needed to do for your position, for your skills that they wanted you to work on. It would be a set amount of film study. It would be a set amount of endurance training and a set amount of strength training, and then a set amount of like actual player-led training that you had to join in on, and then there was extracurricular things that you could get and be a part of. And I'm assuming that they keep track of that somehow better than when I was doing it back in the day, you know, on a piece of paper. Now I'm assuming that it's all on an iPad and they know exactly what you're doing. Even though the coaches can't lead it or can't be there during the summer, I'm assuming that's kind of what happens. Now the coaches will be able to be there starting next Friday. So Tickle Tiger gets in and says, I was told DJ very rarely hung out outside of football, never took hold of being a leader off the field. You know, I don't know much about that. I mean, DJ is obviously on another team now, so, you know, it could be. Also, he says 3 were dinged for accountability. Yeah, I don't know who those 3 were, but I haven't been told anything about that. But 3 out of, I think he said 135, including those players that are not on scholarship, obviously, outside above the 85. So this team, again, Dabo Swinney and Tyler Davis mentions it as well, accountable this year. Now, how will that pay off in the season? Again, time will tell. I would like to know a little bit more about what that means specifically. I assume it means what I said, but you know, we'll continue here with Tyler Davis.
Tyler, we're going to go back to the young man to the right, 4th row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. One of the things that I saw utilized a lot was a lot more dropping 8 in the coverage last year, and you all still found ways to get home. I remember multiple times, at least 2 sacks against NC State with just rushing 3. What does your ability to generate pressure without additional guys adding in mean for this defense and this team overall?
It means a lot. I mean, we just dropping 3. That shows how much effort that we putting into our rush and showing that, like, we trying to get after the quarterback no matter what. No matter if it's 3, 4, 5, we really hungry to get a sack, and so it's a race to the quarterback. So I say that just showing how much effort that we care for each other.
I'm curious to see, I'm going to pull up team stats here. I'm curious to see, this guy mentions that, you know, they did well getting to the quarterback even with just 3. Now, I already tell you, I don't know. I mean, how many times have Clemson just ran 3? I mean, you know, Clemson's base defense is a 4-3 defense. So I don't know a ton of times that they only ran 3 guys to the quarterback, because they would have had to have been in a 3-3-5 or something like that, you know, or drop back a defensive end. So the question was, how well did they do getting to the quarterback last year? That'd be my question. So sacks per game, would it be sacks per game? Let's see, sack percentage maybe. Sack per game. Let's see where Clemson was sack per game. Clemson was 11th in the country in sacks per game at 3.2. Obviously, really well there. right there, right next to Alabama, who was 10th. So sacks per game really well. Let's see. Passing defense, sack percentage. Let's see where Clemson is. 17th in the country in sack percentage. So obviously, statistically speaking, I mean, they were able to get to the quarterback for sure. You know, one of the best teams to get back there and sack the quarterback. I'm trying to see. Let's see. What other kind of stat could there be? Tackle for loss, maybe? No, let's see. Seconds per play. I wonder what did Clemson hold teams to for seconds per play? They were 30th with about 24 seconds per play. I really don't know what that means, because that would be more of like, you know, total seconds from start to finish. Would there be any other stat that would really... QB pressure rate, Brian says in the chat. QB pressure rate. Where do you find that? Let's see. QB pressure rate. QB pressure rate college. I'm looking it up. Pressure rate. I guess sack percentage would really be it, right? You know? So, obviously, Clemson was one of the better teams in the country at getting to the quarterback based on sack percentage and sacks per game. So, Tickle Tiger gets in and says they struggle with the run at times. I don't really know. I mean, obviously, in the Notre Dame game comes to mind for sure. But Tyler Davis, for example, when he's talking about getting to the quarterback, I don't know that question, though, because to me, like, they're not only sending 3 most times. Clemson is bringing 4 most times. But either way, dropping 8, I don't know. Dropping 8 would be, to me, I don't know if Clemson really did that unless they were in a 3-3-5. So let's continue with Tyler Davis.
Tyler, from the podium, I want to follow up on your natty comments. It's a popular question we like to ask here. Do you have to win a championship in order to call it a successful season?
I would say, in my book, yes. I mean, like, we come here. That's one of our goals. You know, we come here to graduate and win a championship, and to leave better prepared as a man. So I say yes, to have a successful season, you have to win a championship of some sort.
Yeah, I agree. I think for Tyler Davis specifically, it doesn't make any sense to return the way he has to just win an ACC championship. Now, he does mention any championship, whatever it may be, but to me, the national championship would be the one that's the most important to go for, especially right now in the season at the very beginning. When you have everything in front of you, you would want to go for that national championship. These guys didn't return to just beat South Carolina, which would be important. These guys didn't return to just beat Notre Dame or Florida State. They returned to do everything and finalize it and get Clemson back to where they were previously. So they want to show what they can do as a defensive unit as a whole. So to me, that means getting this team back to the playoffs and in contention for a national championship. So for me, from a defensive standpoint, if they're not playing at a level that is identical to what you would want for a playoff level team, then that would be a huge disappointment for me as a Clemson fan. I expect nothing less from this defense than a national championship level team. So that's the first thing foremost there. Now, on the offensive side of the ball, again, it's a completely different thing. I hate to say that, but there's so many unknowns. It's hard to hold them to that same kind of standard. However, Tyler Davis is in a situation where, and this defense is in a situation where I think it's a little bit more acceptable to hold them to that high standard.
That's a good note to end on. So how about you hand the microphone off to Cade, and we'll spend about 5 minutes with Cade in our First arms have gone into the air. So, Cade, we're going to start first row left side all the way at the wall.
Hey, Cade, David Hood with TigerNet.com. Coach Sweeney said that, when you got here, you didn't know what you didn't know. Now you know what you didn't know. What is an example of something that you've kind of learned along the way that'll make you a better quarterback this year?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with just reading defenses up front. I feel like we've had a great QB room since I've been here, and just Paul Tyson, just guys that I get to look up to. They've kind of helped me. Just a young guy in the program that I'm getting to learn what a box really looks like, how to read blitzes, how to pick up protection, stuff like that. Like I didn't know that, and I feel like now I've really gotten to step into that role, and that really started kind of going to the last few games last year, really starting to pick that up. So that's been a big thing for me this offseason, and that's been big for me.
Cade,
I got to stop him there because, I really wasn't expecting that from Cade Klubnik. Were you expecting Cade Klubnik to come out and say reading defenses? There was many things that I was expecting him to say, pocket presence, when to scramble, when not to scramble, working with his wide receivers, getting on the same page with the potential starting wide receivers, but then reading defenses. Does saying that he is reading defenses now, does that mean that he necessarily wasn't last year? When you look back at last year and the small sample size that we have of Cade Klubnik, do you feel like that he was reading defenses last year, or was he really more just throwing it to his first or second read? Whatever was designed pre-snap, that's where he was throwing it. What do you think? I'm curious to see what you think in the chat. Hey, while you're in the chat, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. If you're listening, I think you can't. I think I set it to where you can't chat unless you've subscribed. So get in and chat and subscribe first, and then come on and be a part of the chat for sure. So let me know what you think about Cade Klubnik and his comments on, one of the biggest things for him being reading defenses. And while I'm waiting on your responses here, I'm going to share this video out. I'm going to share the live stream out so we can get some more people in. So bear with me here. All right, so I'm going to post this, and then I'm going to go over on Facebook, and because you got to do Facebook, always got to do. I usually get some pretty good feedback from people over on Facebook, even though I really don't. Honestly, do you even use Facebook anymore? I really only use it to share the show now, and really a lot of times just keep up to date with my family. I don't use it as much anymore for personal stuff. Sometimes I catch myself scrolling through some of the dumb videos that they have over there. All right, so I posted some more in. Hopefully we'll get some more people in now. I shared it on TigerNet, shared it on Facebook and a couple of Facebook groups. I know I've already shared it, I think, on Twitter. So, thank you so much. All right, so let's get back in the chat here. Tickled Tiger says, I'm not saying it happens, but close game against Duke. We see the tape we set the table offensively. That's for sure. I don't know how that Duke game's going to go, but the Duke game is not going to be one of those easy pushover games. That's for sure. I mean, you can't take Duke for granted, considering that they have so many players returning. They're familiar with each other, and they know what they're good at. Specifically on offense, they have a quarterback in Riley Leonard that really, I would have rather had him than DJ. You know, Tickle Tiger says he thinks we build offense slowly, early, and no turnovers. Yeah, I agree with that. So Tennessee had time to prepare for Cade, unlike UNC. They confused him at times. Yep, I agree. So he's got to get used to that. Figure out the defenses, what they're going to throw at him, and kind of go from there. All right, so we're still listening to Cade's question and answer here, and we're going to continue with him.
Also on the front row, this time to your right, if you'll spin hard right.
Cade, Royal Howell, Carolina Blitz. Cade, how much pressure do you put on yourself to come out the gates, guns blazing, and during the highs and lows of the season?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just take it one day at a time. I know I say that a lot, but like that's really what it comes down to. Is right now I'm focused on today. I'm present where I am, and then we got workouts tomorrow morning, and I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be locked in where I am. Right now, just heading into fall camp, we're focused on the first game, and that's it. We're focused on week 1 at Raleigh versus Duke, and we're getting ready for that. And what ends up happening, but we're ready to attack whatever comes at us.
Cade, third row. We're going to spin you back to the left now.
Cade, after the spring game, you had mentioned one of the big things you wanted to improve on was your pocket presence. What kind of drills have helped you with that, and do you feel like you've taken as big a stride in that area as you'd like to?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's been something that me and the other QBs I've been really putting an emphasis on this offseason, the last probably 3 months, especially. Just lots of cone work, lots of pocket presence, even getting with other offensive linemen and D linemen, and literally getting fake reps almost of just them blitzing, having to throw off of different movements and stuff like that, but just kind of feeling it out. And it just at that point it becomes a muscle memory type of thing where you're not even thinking about it, and just I really feel like I'm getting back to that point again. So.
Now that's interesting, Chad. I want to get your thoughts on that. Cade Klubnik comes out and says that he's not only working with the offensive line and working with cones, but he's working with the offensive line, and he's also bringing in defensive linemen to help him prepare and improve his pocket presence. Now, that was the thing that I thought he would say previously. He said reading defenses was the thing that he wants to be working on the most. But then he started talking, he was asked a question about pocket presence. That's what I thought he would have said. If it was him, if it was me, I would have said, hey, I'm working on my pocket presence because I need to make sure that I stay in the pocket and make the throw and not be so quick to run the ball or even run backwards, right? But he says, hey, I'm going to work on reading defenses as my number one. Okay, I get that. That makes sense. Obviously, as you guys mentioned in the chat, Tennessee prepared for him very well. And then when he got to closer to the end zone, when he didn't even have to get to the red zone, it seemed like that's when it stalled. Cade seemed to be very good between the 30-yard lines, the 30 and the 30, but then when he got to that 30 and tried to get closer to the end zone, it seemed to kind of stall for him against Tennessee. So maybe that's what he means as far as reading defenses better. When you get into a more cramped area where you can't just sling it down the field 50 yards, that's when you've got to be able to read defenses and find the open man, or maybe even throw the ball to where the player will be. What I say is throw the receiver open, right? He's not technically open when you release the ball, but he will be open when the ball gets to him. And I felt like DJ Uiagalelei couldn't do that. He was not very good at throwing people open. He wasn't very good at hitting a spot in stride or where a player would be. The player had to already be open for him to throw it to them. And to be the best quarterback, especially a quarterback in the NFL that's successful, these guys are not going to be open when you release the ball. A lot of times, they're not going to be wide open. You're going to have to throw it to where you believe they're going to be because you've practiced that. So that's the first thing. But then he mentioned pocket presence and being able to sit in there, starting out with individual drills and possibly with other players, working on cone drills and quarterbacks specifically, but then not just staying with the quarterbacks. We mentioned that before about how we saw DJ playing with the members of the water boys, or whatever you want to call it, like the assistants, right? He was playing with the student assistants. After games, he was throwing balls. He wasn't throwing to the wide receivers. He wasn't throwing to the tight ends, but he was throwing to the assistant equipment managers. And to me, and I agree with you guys in the chat, that's not optimal. You want your quarterback getting used to and becoming familiar with the plays and the speed of the game and the tempo and the tendencies of the players he will be playing with, not equipment managers. And so the fact that Cade is doing that is a learned thing, I think. I think he's probably doing that on purpose compared to what he saw when he was a backup. All right, again, this is Cade Klubnik, ACC Kickoff. We'll continue listening in.
Stay there on your left, back to the first row.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. And Cade, when you look at the history of quarterbacks, guys that have been under center as signal callers for Clemson and everything that they've done, not only at Clemson, but evolving into the NFL, what does it mean to you to step into the role that you've evolved into now and to take on that opportunity that so many have brought forward successfully before?
Yeah, definitely a huge honor. I mean, obviously big shoes to fill. Just looking at the guys that have been here before me, and just definitely guys that I look up to a ton. And but we've got the same. I've got the same head coach that they got, and I'm really thankful for that. And I'm excited for Coach Riley. And I mean, I feel like the guys that I'm going to be surrounded by this season are I wouldn't replace them with anybody else. So just so excited for the playmakers that I'm getting to be around every single day, and really excited.
Back to your right, fourth row.
Kenton Gibbs with Locked On ACC. Coach Sweeney alluded to learning from disappointments along the way, and I want to ask about the Orange Bowl in particular last year in that game against Tennessee, which it was a bit of a tough game, but you were QB1 going into bowl preparation and all that good stuff. And what is it that you took away from that game, from that disappointment, that you can say, I'm a better quarterback in these ways because of that game going down the way it did?
Yeah, I mean, specifically talking about that game, we needed to finish drives. I think that's what it started with. But, I think honestly, I'm just so proud of those guys for that game. And I think I think that's going to push that game is going to push us to the places we want to be this year. It's putting a little bit of a bad feeling in our stomach all year. Obviously, we had a very successful year. If you look at the overall picture of it, ACC champions and 11-3 finish, like that's an amazing year. But to finish with a loss it's always gonna leave something a little dirty in your soul. So just going into this offseason, it's been great. I think it's been helping us, and just a little bit more of a grittiness to us than I've seen before. So it's gonna be fun.
Cade, your last question will be on the left side, fourth row there, close to the aisle, in the middle.
To piggyback what my man said about that, your last game, the Orange Bowl, you didn't do so good, but the ACC title game, you did do good. So you have like 2 full games where we saw. It's a small sample size. Now, Clemson fans don't just want the ACC title. They want to get back to that national title, top of the college football mountain. What do you say to the people who feel like you may not be the guy to get them there?
Yeah. The reason I came to Clemson was for 2 things. It's for the culture and to win a national championship. And I believe that we're going to be able to do that while I'm here. So,
I think that was a pretty bold question. Very interesting to me that somebody came out and said, what do you think about those people who think that those Clemson fans that want to get to the national championship game, and some of those people who think that you're not the one to get them there? Do you feel like that there's any? I haven't talked to a specific fan that has told me, hey, I don't feel like Cade is the one. I mean, Cade has had success at the high school level. He's had success at Elite 11 QB challenges. He's had glimpses of success here at Clemson. Now, he does have some things that he has to work on, but have you heard a lot of thoughts or opinions out there that Cade can't get it done? Do you believe that Cade can get it done? I think that Cade can get it done. I mean, to me, he has the skill set and the arm strength and the mobility that fits exactly what Garrett Riley wants to do and what Dabo wants to do and even what Brandon Streeter wanted to do and Tony Elliott wanted to do. So I feel like Cade is the type of player that fits better. You know, when we look back at the quarterbacks, right? The guys like Cade were the ones that succeeded better than guys like DJ. When you look at DJ, I always said this when DJ was here. DJ was a first baseman, right? He was a baseball player, but he was like a baseball player that was a first baseman. He was a Ryan Klesko. You know, he was a left fielder that really couldn't run very, very well. You know, when he was running, he looked like he had concrete in his shoes. He looked like a drunk giraffe. He looked like his legs, his knees couldn't bend, you know, and he had locked braces, right? DJ was a very awkward runner, even though he was a very powerful runner and was successful at picking up first downs. It was like, man, I just hope he falls successfully. I hope he falls down gracefully and doesn't hurt himself because his running looks so ridiculous, you know? Cade does not look that way. Cade looks like more of a basketball player who can play football, just like Trevor Lawrence, just like Deshaun Watson, just like Kelly Bryant. Those guys who have that flexibility, that agility, that knee bend, that can do things in a you know, a small space that doesn't just need to go and gain momentum and fall, right? Cade's going to be that guy that's going to be a lot more dynamic, and that's what fits Clemson's offense better. Now, we really haven't seen a big enough sample size of Cade to know if he's good or not. I don't think Cade, got a good shake in the Tennessee game anyways. I don't think anybody should have made him throw the ball as much as he did. And it was that if that was his fault more than Streeter, I don't know. But obviously Streeter's not with the team anymore, so it's hard to say. But to me, I think that Cade does have the talent and the tools that he needs to fit with Clemson and be successful, potentially make it to a national championship game. He's got the offensive coordinator to do it, and he's got, to me, the more I look at the offensive players that he has 2 running backs that could be on any team right now. He has some wide receivers that were highly recruited that just need another chance to figure out, to show what they can do. So I really feel like that Cade does have the ability and can have the opportunity to make it to the national championship game. And I really don't feel like a ton of Clemson fans out there have said Cade can't do it. So I really don't know where that question came from. I felt like maybe it was kind of a little bit of a backhanded question to try to get some controversy out of Cade or get some fire out of him or maybe have a spicy response. But Cade handled it perfectly to me and, really kind of a leading question, All right, let's go back in the chat here. Andrew Watts says, Morgan Thomas for president. Thank you. Thank you. Well, hey, let me tell you something. I'm a veteran. Served in Iraq, served 8 years in the military. I really feel like that I'm very scared with the leadership that we have in the country. I'm not just talking about the president or one side of the coin. I'm talking about these people that are representing our country that are 85 years old, and they're forgetting sentences and they're forgetting things to say, and they're having to have handlers beside them tell them what to say and remind them where they are. That's what's really scary to me. Whether you're Democrat, Republican, whatever you are, I just wish that we would get to a point where we would stop allowing people to continue to get voted in just because of what color they are, red or blue, and start having term limits. I mean, these people are you would not trust them to run a football team. You would not trust them to run a business. So why are we trusting them to make decisions about our country and our communities when they can't even finish sentences? And then when you ask them about it, they act like nothing happened. Like, oh, I didn't just almost have a stroke on live TV. or, oh, I didn't just forget where I was today. Oh, I didn't just fall down a flight of stairs today. No, I mean, that's the thing that's disappointing to me is why is this the option? I am disappointed in America because these are the options. If it were me, if I had the education, if I had the money, I would, go out there and try to run for office somehow, because I feel like we don't have enough people who care about the country even trying. And then the ones that do try are so old that you can't trust them to even remember to brush their teeth today, or put on their pants. So I don't know. I just worry about that with our country is these people that are out there that really probably were great representatives at one point, but now need to retire. I mean, really, seriously, it's just scaring me when I see it on Twitter. I see these videos. But anyways, I get off my soapbox there. But Tickle Tiger says FSU reporter, LOL. Yeah, true, right? Probably FSU reporter. What's our yard per catch against Tennessee? Let's see. Clemson stats versus Tennessee. Clemson stats versus Tennessee. By the way, according to win probability, Clemson never had a chance in win probability. Oh, yards per carry. Let's see. Yards per carry, sorry. So they ran it for 164 yards. So they were 3.6 yards per carry. Now, Tennessee had, statistically speaking, Tennessee had a better run defense than they did a pass defense. So maybe Brandon Streeter went in and said, well, you know what? We're not going to run against them because they have a really good run defense. But I think that ended up being a terrible idea. Brian gets in and says, Clemson's been ravaged by injuries the past 3 years. John gets in and says, you can catch Dabo saying Chad will work with both offense and defense. Oh, we got to get to that. Hey, if you're in the chat right now, or if you're watching the video right now and you want to get into the chat, you got to subscribe. I have it set up to where if you want to get in the chat, you got to subscribe. So hit the like button if you don't mind. Like the video so other Clemson fans can get get notified about the video and it'll get in the algorithm on the suggested videos. But then also make sure you subscribe so not only you can get in and be a part of the videos that come out and the live shows that we do, but also be a part of the chat. Now, I will tell you, we've got some things coming up. It's not just me. Usually Alan is here, but because we were late today, I had some errands to do. Alan's not with us tonight, but I'm probably going to be doing the show on the radio again, 105.5 The Roar, coming football season. So I have a computer set up to where we can still do this live stream from the radio studio. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll see how it goes, but I am looking forward to that for 2023 and hopefully coming up soon in the fall when football season gets closer. But yeah, if you want to get in and be a part of the chat and say hello, make sure you subscribe. And the time will be somewhat similar, probably 7 o'clock, right after Walt Deptula's show is typically what I do. So we'll figure it out and see how it goes. Let's continue with Cade Klubnik here.
Okay, thank you. You can hand it off to your O-lineman, Will Putnam. And we'll have about 5 minutes with Will before we close it down and break for lunch. Who would like the first question for our offensive lineman? Will, we're going to go right side, about 5th row, right in the middle.
Hi, Will. Ashlyn Dotson from Spectacular Magazine. So transitioning from guard to center and earning all ACC honors in your first year at the position is pretty impressive. So how did you prepare for this new role, and what adjustments did you have to make to excel as a center in Clemson's offense?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit easier transition than most people would realize because I had experience playing guard. I've been in this system for a couple of years, but I think for me really was, understanding that, the team needed me. My team needed me to play center, and that would help our team put ourselves in the best opportunity to win games. And I'm a team player through and through. So whatever it takes to win, I'll do it. And then Coach Sweeney, Coach Austin, like he came to the conclusion that that's what needed to be done. I'm all in with it. I think it'd be great. And then from a personal level, I think it's good for me to get some versatility as well, playing both guard and center. So I think it was a win-win for everybody. And I think it was great. Like if this year, for example, I need to play guard, I'd do it again too. So where I play doesn't really matter for me as much. It's more so just what I can do to help our team win. And I'm glad it worked out that way though.
Will, to your left, standing almost at the exit.
Hey, Will. Eric McLean here with ACC Network. There used to be a really proud tradition of bearded, beautiful men along the offensive line. Could you confirm or deny that's coming back?
I think it needs to come back. Not as much as it used to. Because I know Matt Bockhorst always had one very crispy, very clean. Hunter Rayburn had one. He let it go a little bit. But no, it's going to come back a little bit. I mean, maybe not for me. Mine might be kind of But Colin Sadler, he's a young one coming up. He can grow a pretty mean Viking beard. So I'll try to convince him.
Microphone's going to go back to Dan in the first row. You need to follow that one up, Dan.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Will, just what you can say about new offensive coordinator Garrett Riley and what he's done to invigorate this offense and what we can maybe expect as we step into the season.
Yeah, Coach Riley has been great. Everyone's on board, and I think one of the great things about Coach Riley coming to Clemson is just the excitement, right? Enthusiasm is very contagious, and it's been very positive. But I mean, our offense is very player friendly. I guess the goal of it is try to put our best playmakers in positions to make plays, putting guys in those positions, those opportunities to win the game for us. I think that's really good. I think it's given some guys a little bit of autonomy to make certain decisions that's best for our team, best for our offense. And then off the field, Coach Riley is just great person, great coach. Like the other week, he had the entire offense over to his house for food and fellowship and stuff like that. He didn't have to do that, but he did. So it's been a great transition so far.
Will, your last question comes from the podium, wondering what lessons you've taken and applied from your dad, Neil, a 30-year Army veteran who spent 24 years in the Green Beret.
I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot from my father. Many things. I think one taking initiative from yourself is really big. And then I think too, which I think is important, it can go for a lot of things, is greatness is opinionated. Other people decide who's great, who's not, but excellence is self-driven. And that's something, as a man, as a person, that's something that you can decide, you can drive how you want to live your life, how you want to be remembered. And I would say that's one thing that's always stuck with me.
Will, thank you. Clemson, good luck this season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Folks, that's
all right. Well, I mean, that was the three guys there. We just got done. If you missed it, we just got done watching Cade Klubnik and Tyler Davis and Will Putnam talk about, answer some questions, some Q&A this season. I just recently added or updated the chat room. So if you see there that notification, even if you're not a subscriber, you can get in and talk Clemson football. So, this hopefully help you out in case you're intimidated, you're scared to subscribe. Now you get an opportunity to, to be a part of the chat if you want to be and you're not a subscriber. All good. I give you the open floor here. Oh, by the way, there's a few things in the description that I wanted to discuss. First thing is that we have the 110% club, 99 cents a month. I don't do sponsors anymore, but we'll do fan, memberships, 99 cents a month. Really, all you get is a badge that gets cooler every month that you're a member and some emojis, and you get a shout out during the show. And then we have our DraftKings league that I'm starting up. We got a bunch of people in there already. Make sure you get in. It's in the description. The DraftKings league, we're going to have fantasy college football, fantasy NFL, free and paid, all kinds of different contests in there for fun. So get in there for sure. Don't forget to follow me over on Twitter at The Morgan T Show and listen to me over on The Roar Thursday mornings on the Mickey Plyler Show. And then Thursday nights, a lot of times with Walt, I'm a guest, and also during the football season, I should be back on the air as well. So yeah, I appreciate the love and support as always. I think that, this December, I think, is actually the 5th year, the start of it's our 5th year anniversary for the show starting. I think we started 5 years ago in December. So we've been just steadily, just talking Clemson since they won the last national championship game. So it's been real fun for me and Big Al, who Big Al is, again, not here tonight because we're a little bit later on in the show. But thank you for being here. And if you haven't already, make sure you like the video. And if you don't mind, subscribe when you have a chance. All right, so looks like we got about 11 likes and 21 viewers. So make sure you get in there and hit the like button. Tickle Tiger says, drop the national stuff. Well, they can't work around the clock. So, they have to have vacations and breaks and travel days and certain things like that. So they actually do try to have, they are the only station in the upstate, really probably in the southeast or in the whole state that does like 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. live content with local hosts, and most of them are Clemson fans, but it's pretty cool, All right, so let's get in and let's see, what's the next video we should watch? So we just got done listening to Cade Klubnik. Let's listen to who should we listen to? Let's go to Dabo Swinney on the podium.
Is going to come to the right side.
Ooh, that was really loud. Maybe there's a better. I'm looking up the video now. Maybe there's a better version of that I can find here. Hold on, bear with me here. Bear with me as I look up a better version, maybe. Dabo Swinney on ACC Network. We want to watch that? Yeah, let's watch it.
Dabo Swinney.
Let's watch it. Dabo Swinney on the ACC Network. That'll be fun.
Join us. Coach, first of all, always good seeing you. Life, I'm assuming, is pretty good, right?
Yeah, man. Getting ready to keep this thing going again, and always excited to be here with you guys because that means it's close.
No doubt. We'll start with what everybody's talking about, Garrett Riley. You've since, doing some homework, had to tweak a little bit, and you're always looking to get better. What have you seen with Garrett Riley so far as the system he's implementing and how your guys have responded to it, and what we can expect as fans to watch it?
Well, the biggest thing I've seen is confidence. He's a very confident guy. There's a lot of enthusiasm that is contagious from that. And, as I've said a couple times today, it's the same house. We just cleaned out the closets and put some new flooring in and nice new paint job, new roof, and so it's exciting. A little spring cleaning, if you will, and guys have just bought in. It's been a fun process. We didn't have everybody available this spring, but how the guys have worked this summer, the accountability, the leadership. I think we're in a really good spot. Garrett's super fired up to get out there in the valley and on the road Labor Day night to get this thing started for real.
It's fun to hear Cade Klubnik walking around now. He knows he's the guy. He has the reins. He has the keys. The messaging that you're sending to him. Now, you've had to manage young quarterbacks with high expectations on this team coming in for this job. So what's your main message to Cade?
Just be who he is. Be the same kid that he's been his whole life. He's a winner. And, there's all consistent winners have certain characteristics, and he embodies all those characteristics. So just continue to be, who he's always been. I mean, he's got great experience. He's got a great background. He's a natural leader. He's got unbelievable energy. He loves to prepare. he's put in the work. So just lean on the work that you've put in and the experience that he gained last year, and just play within the system, man. It's going to work.
I mentioned Garrett Riley, and there have been some new faces with the staff. How about old Thunder and Lightning getting back together?
Yeah,
For old school Clemson fans, I use old school. It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see both those guys back. And but you've been preaching the whole thing about education.
Yeah.
It gets lost in today's society. But that's a cool story.
Yeah, I've been trying to get James back for a while, and he's a few classes short of graduating, and timing was right, and so it's really cool.
See, I'm hoping that we're back up here. Okay, yeah, we're back up. We're back up. Yes. Hopefully you can hear me. Let me pull my YouTube back up here. Yeah, something went on with my internet. But YouTube back up here. Yep. All right, we're good. We're good. I can hear myself, so we are good. At least I didn't lose the stream, That's good. John, I can hear John Sarian right now just laughing at me, because that's what he likes to do. He loves to pick on me about my technical difficulties here, because it literally happens like all the time. But anyways, we're back. We're back. Apparently, whatever I was doing, you can't do, but I'm back, so we're good. We're good. Let's continue with Dabo Swinney. How about that? Let's see what we got here. So,
always good seeing you. Life, I'm assuming, is pretty good, right?
Yeah, man. Getting ready to get this thing going again, and always excited to be here with you guys, because that means it's close.
No doubt. We'll start with what everybody's talking about, Garrett Riley. You've since, doing some homework, had to tweak a little bit, and you're always looking to get better. What have you seen with Garrett Riley so far, as the system he's implementing and how your guys have responded to it, and what we can expect as fans to watch it?
Well, the biggest thing I've seen is confidence. He's a very confident guy. There's a lot of enthusiasm that is contagious from that, and as I've said a couple times today, it's the same house. We just cleaned out the closets and put some new flooring in, and nice new paint job, new roof, and so it's exciting. A little spring cleaning, if you will, and guys have just bought in. It's been a fun process. We didn't have everybody available this spring, but how the guys have worked this summer, the accountability, the leadership. I think we're in a really good spot. Garrett's super.
By the way, look at that. Tied for 75th in 50-yard plays. You can't see it because I'm covering it up. My screen's covering it up, but tied for 75th in 50-yard plays. And TCU was first. TCU was top 15 in everything. Yards per attempt, offensive points per game, yards per play. Clemson was very bad last year when it came to those stats in particular.
Fired up to get out there in the valley and on the road Labor Day night to get this thing started for real.
It's fun to hear Cade Klubnik walking around now. He knows he's the guy. He has the reins. He has the keys. The messaging that you're sending to him, knowing you've had to manage young quarterbacks with high expectations on this team coming in for this job. So what's your main message to Cade?
Just be who he is. Be the same kid that he's been his whole life. He's a winner. And, there's all consistent winners have certain characteristics, and he embodies all those characteristics. So just continue to be who he's always been. I mean, he's got great experience. He's got a great background. He's a natural leader. He's got unbelievable energy. He loves to prepare. He's put in the work. So just lean on the work that you've put in and the experience that he gained last year, and just play within the system, man. It's going to work.
You know, I mentioned Garrett Riley, and there have been some new faces with the staff. How about old Thunder and Lightning getting back together?
Yeah,
For
yeah.
old school Clemson fans, I use old school. It's not that long ago.
Yeah.
Pretty cool to see both those guys back. And but you've been preaching the whole thing about education.
Yeah.
It gets lost in today's society. But that's a cool story.
Yeah, you know, I've been trying to get James back for a while, and he's a few classes short of graduating, and timing was right, and so it's really cool. And you know, he just finished 5 days of all-in meetings, and he loved it. And it was really cool to see him kind of go through that process on this side of the curtain, if you will. But it's going to be pretty awesome because he's an undergrad. So as an undergrad student coach, you know, he can coach on the field. He can do everything but go on the road and recruit. So, you know, him and CJ, along with those other dudes we got in that running back room, that's quite a room. It's going to be a lot of fun to see them all work together.
You have so many former players on your staff and in those rooms, like from offensively to Taj Boyd and CJ Spiller and all those guys defensively. You have Nick Eason over there. Who's the most competitive former player that you now have on your staff with the guys now? Who's the coach that's most competitive with their guys?
Most competitive with their guys in what regard?
Just wanting to get out there and get up in their faces with them and training with them when they're on the field. They still maybe think they have a little player in them.
Yeah, they're probably Nick. You know, I mean, Nick went through mat drills. He put on his cleats and I think he was trying to make a point to some of his guys, and he did. And he went through the entire session of mat drills at 5:30 in the morning, and so probably Nick for sure. And honestly, you know, I might not get 3 downs out of him, but he'd probably be pretty good on first down.
It's second and long is what you're telling me, right?
He can still do it. But, man, all those guys are super competitive. We you know, you see it when we get out there and play a little noon ball and stuff, but prideful group.
The last time we saw you guys was obviously the spring game. Taylor was on the sideline. But you didn't have everybody, especially the offensive side, right? The skill guys. One of the things I think we're all interested in watching is, number one, Garrett Riley's offense from that perspective, and you get your weapons back. From a health standpoint, what we can expect to see in 23. What about the wide receivers? I know the tight end's going to be incorporated too in the backs, but I'm talking about the wide receivers in particular.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're healthy. It's been a while since we've been able to say that. Obviously, we had several guys not out there this spring. We signed 4 guys that we're excited about, that I think gives us an infusion of speed and talent. But this is, on paper, the fastest team we've had. You know, we had the most guys that we've ever had, run more than 20 miles per hour. This is also probably the most accountable team we've had in about the last 6 or 7 years. But it all goes back to being healthy. And, man, it all starts with Bo Collins and Antonio and Cole and Adam and Spector. Those 5 guys, I think, really give us, a special group. And then, we added Noble Johnson and Ronan Hannafin and, Tink Kelly and Tyler Brown, guys that really bring a lot to the table. So we've got depth and we've got just a room full of, speed and athleticism. But, Cole got some good experience. Adam came off the knee, but he still got a lot of experience. Antonio's a freshman All-American. And then Bo Collins he's a pro, man. I mean, he's outstanding. We've just got to catch a little bit of luck and stay healthy. He had a good freshman year. Last year was off to a great start. Obviously missed some time with injuries and then shoulder surgery in the offseason, missed spring. But, God, he looks great. And if that kid's on the field, good things are going to happen. So it starts with those guys, and we'll add the depth, as we go.
I know every year you pick a word before the start of the season. You have it under lock and key. You announce it on the particular day on the opener. But if we're going to go with one word, we're talking offense, but defensively, the word you would use to describe this defense with these players that you have this season? Experienced.
Incredibly experienced. This is the most depth we've had at corner in a long time. Same thing at safety. Took some lumps last year, and honestly, if we're a better pass offense and a better pass defense, we're gonna have a heck of a year. But man, I'm super excited about the depth and experience on the back end. Guys that have played a lot of football, guys that have gained really good experience, and then Trotter and Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz. I mean, it just, man, those guys are amazing. And then you get up to the front line. We got a lot of guys that have played a lot of ball. So that's the biggest thing is experience. And again, no greater teacher than experience. And that's what I'm excited, because it's not just experience, it's talented experience.
You know, you've had a lot of really great players, especially that defensive line comes to mind immediately. But the collection of linebackers you have, Coach, listen, I've watched a lot of Clemson football. Those dudes, I don't think you've ever had a better collection. I know you talk about depth, that's always an issue from that perspective. But, man, that starting group, first couple guys coming off the bench, I don't think you've ever had a better starting group of linebackers.
No, I mean, you know, I really think Trotter and Carter are probably on their way to being first-round draft picks at some point if they, you know, continue on the path that they're on. And I don't know that we've ever had that. Two guys playing at the same time of that type of caliber. We've had a lot of great
making
players.
all kinds of plays.
And then Woodaz, man, he's a monster. And what he was able to do last year as a freshman, and then where he is now, and he can do so much. You know, I mean, we can really play him in a lot of ways. You know, he can play Mike.
Now I have to go back, and I have to record this because I was in a Twitter space earlier today where a Clemson fan, said Wade Woodaz. And I said, no, it's not Woodaz. Like Ric Flair woo. It's Woodaz. I mean, just like it looks. And so I've got to take the video of this.
Last year as a freshman, and then where he is now, and he can do so much. You know, I mean, we can really play him in a lot of ways. You know, he can play Mike, he can play Will, he can play a Big Sam. You know, he's athletic enough to play safety if we needed him to. He can do a lot. He's incredibly smart. He's a former quarterback growing up, so he just brings a lot to the table. And now he's just got confidence because he's got some success under his belt from last year. So it's a really, really good group, and with those guys, those big butts up front, it's a good time to be a linebacker for the Tigers.
It feels good. Okay, we're talking football, but also personally for you, because the last time we were all together was Amelia Island. Football.
So it's a risk. Got quarterback growth. We needed him to. Will, he can play now, and he can do so what he was. And then Woodaz, two guys path that they're on, and I don't know that we've ever had that. Two guys playing at the same time of that type of caliber. We've had a lot of great
making
players.
all kinds of plays.
And then Woodaz, man, he's a monster. And what he was able to do last year as a freshman, he is of that type of caliber. We've had a lot of great
making
players.
all kinds of plays.
And then Woodaz, man, he's a monster. And what he was able to do last year as a freshman, and then where he is now.
See, this is just me. Me being petty here. You know, I gotta send this to him. I gotta post this. All right, yeah, this is just me being petty. But you know what? You gotta have some fun over on Twitter. We'll continue.
And he can do so much. You know, I mean, we can really play him in a lot of ways. You know, he can play Mike, he can play Will, he can play a Big Sam. You know, he's athletic enough to play safety if we needed him to. He can do a lot. He's incredibly smart. He's a former quarterback growing up, so he just brings a lot to the table. And now he's just got confidence because he's got some success under his belt from last year. So it's a really, really good group. And with those guys, those big butts up front, it's a good time to be a linebacker for the Tigers.
It feels good. Okay, we're talking football, but also personally for you, because the last time we were all together was Amelia Island, and you weren't there because you had a scheduling conflict, because for a good reason. You went to South Africa for vacation. Tell us a little bit about that and what you were able to do there.
Yeah, it was amazing. I hated to miss that, but it had been, they changed the date midstream, and it was just too far down the road. But it was 3 years in the making. Finally got to go with a big group, about 30 people, and just to be at another continent, to see the Southern Cross, to see the animals in their environment was, it was a life-changing experience for sure. And glad I got a chance to do it. It was a long way, very, very long way, but it was an amazing experience.
Did you have a favorite animal you saw?
The lion and the lioness. Just amazing, powerful.
Very.
They were all amazing, but there was just something about, like, 3 things I learned. Nobody messes with the lion, nobody messes with the elephant, nobody messes with the rhino.
No thanks.
If you're not one of them, you're in the food chain every day you wake up. And but it was a pretty neat thing to be able to see them.
I'd be remiss if I don't bring this up. Again, I always have a good time when you're all in of ball, but what you also do with the women's clinic and the money raised, you just finished that up. You don't want to brag about it, but man, really, that's turned into an incredible event.
It is. We had about 1,500 plus ladies show up last Saturday, and it was amazing. We've dealt with a lot. Ella Brzee, her mom and sister came. Megan and Kendall, they came and were a part of the day. And it was a powerful day for sure. Jeremiah Trotter's mom, Tammy, passed away of breast cancer in this past year. So it was a big day for them. Julie Venables is battling breast cancer right now. And of course, Tyler is a part of our team.
Right.
So it's a powerful day. We have a lot of fun. But man, there's a lot of courage and a lot of strength and a lot of synergy that comes from that day for a lot of ladies that are so brave, and they'll come down on that floor together, and it's just an amazing day. And Kath's done an awesome job, and she's very passionate about that. Certainly losing her sister to breast cancer as well, it hits home to so many people, and so it's really something that I look forward to every year.
It really puts life in perspective, doesn't it? We sit here and talk football, and it's your bread and butter from that perspective. But what you do with the all-in ball in that event as well, again, it's kind of a reminder, isn't it? Just a little tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, that's what I tell Kath. That's what I tell my team all the time. Probably my biggest job now is to make sure that we keep proper perspective. Especially when you've had a lot of success, it's so easy to let the outside expectations or narratives or whatever become greater than the inside purpose of why you do what you do. And that can't ever be the case. You can't ever let expectations become greater than the purpose of why you do what you do. Whether it's coach football, play football, whatever it is. Because when that happens, you lose perspective. And when you lose perspective, you lose your joy. It's just like, the narrative of, like, if we don't win a national championship, we failed. And 128 years, we've won 3 national championships. If that's your mindset, you've missed out on a lot of great days as a Clemson Tiger. You do the best you can. You try to be purpose-driven, not expectation-driven. And that's how you live your life from the inside out, and that's what we try to do. And certainly moments like that, man, and what we've been through as a team this past year with some of our family members within our team, that have gone through some struggles and have moved on to heaven. Man, it creates real perspective of what's important, and again, just a reminder of how blessed we are to have a day, and let's just win the day and be great today and rejoice in today, because that's what we have.
All right.
So it's a mindset.
I told everybody before you showed up, I said, you know what the problem with Dabo is? He'll want to hang out with us for a half an hour, 45. But
you guys are fun.
I know, we got to get you guys moving. But you know what? You mentioned afraid of the lion, afraid of the rhino, elephant. Somebody better be afraid of the Tigers. Something tells me the Tigers.
There were no Tigers where I was. I didn't even know that.
You were the Tiger.
Yeah, I was a Tiger.
You were the representative.
There you go. That's right.
Look, we look forward to seeing you on the camp tour and obviously during the season, but to stay healthy was always a pleasure.
Maybe that's why those animals were eyeballing.
Yeah.
They knew.
They were eyeballing you for some other reason. I
Thank you,
guarantee
guys.
that. Dabo Swinney joined.
All right, so that was Dabo Swinney on the ACC network, ACC PM, I think. We're talking to Mark Packer, obviously, and you know what? I don't even know the girl in the middle's name at all. I feel bad, but anyways. So, Dabo talking about the team as a whole, talking about the wide receivers. He feels like he's got 5 wide receivers that really are his core group of guys that are going to build and show what they can do this year. Talked about Bo Collins, Antonio Williams being the top 2 on the list there. He named those 2 first. So Bo Collins, Antonio Williams, and then after that you had Brandon Spector, you had Adam Randall, and then you had, who was the 5th guy? Who was the 5th guy now that I'm thinking about it? Who was that 5th guy? Now I'm drawing a blank. Because he said 5 guys. Let me look at the roster. Because off the top of my head, Brandon Spector, I think, is one that I didn't mention. Let me make sure I got my 5. So he said Bo Collins, he said Antonio Williams, Adam Randall, Brandon Spector, Cole Turner. That was the guy that I had missed before previously. So Cole Turner. Those are your 5 guys. Really, those are your 5 guys with the most experience outside of Troy Stellato. That would be the only guy that you'd have skipped there. But Troy Stellato has no experience at all. So, I mean, he's a redshirt sophomore with no experience. So, those are the 5 guys that your upperclassmen that he named there that he has to rely on. And then everybody else is a true freshman or Troy Stellato who hasn't played at all. So after that, you have Ronan Hannafin, Noble Johnson, Tyler Brown, and Tink Kelly, depending on where he plays. But again, those guys are true freshmen. So you really don't know what you're going to get with those guys. But he also mentioned that mile per hour wise, this is the fastest team Clemson has had since he's been a coach as a whole on average. So I don't really know what that really means mile per hour wise, because mile per hour to me, what does that really mean? Like, how long does it maybe you're fast, but how long does it take you to get up to that speed? I mean, we need you to be fast and explosive as well. So, we can't have you taking, 90 yards to get up to 20 miles an hour, or 90 yards to get up to 22 miles an hour. Need you to really be able to get up to 22 miles an hour very quick, in a short amount of time, in a short space, and be able to beat the man in front of you, whether you're beating him physically, or whether you're beating him by the route, or whether you're beating him by the speed, So to me, mile per hour is a weird thing, because I've seen mile per hour be high on people, but then their 100-meter time not good, or their 40-yard dash not good. So I'm like, okay, well, you reach a high top speed, but maybe you can't hold it. Maybe you get up there, but then you immediately go right back down. That's what everybody gets on Will Shipley about. He can't seem to maintain like his speed, right? Tickled Tiger gets in there, talks about Shipley as well. He seems to be able to get a burst, but then it goes away very quickly too. So maybe there's that too. I just don't know how miles per hour really equates to anything. I was very interested. I mean, it's very interesting that Dabo Swinney chose to use mile per hour. While we continue to talk about Clemson this season, do you want me to continue with videos and look at some more of these interviews, or what do you want me to do? You want to talk about some other things? Let me know. This is a show. You guys are here with me. We're soloing it tonight, so let me know what the next thing you want to do. I mean, I can keep playing these videos, of course, and going through them. But if you want to talk about something specific, we can do that as well. I really do want to get Dabo Swinney up on the stage here from today. Let's see.
Right side, young lady in.
Brian says, my take on Corian Gibson. Well, while I give you my take, why don't we just look at his video? I like Corian Gibson. I think I did a video on him already, but we can look at his film again. He, as a junior, has this really great ability to be versatile. I mean, the guy can play like 5 or 6 different positions, and I really, really love that about the guy. So, to be honest with you, he can play nickel, he can play man, cornerback, he can play safety. So, when it comes to something like that, you have to love that versatility from a player like him. I'm going to pull it up here and try to put him on the screen here. Let's push this live. Yep. All right, here we go. Corian Gibson, or Corey Gibson, as you will. I really like the guy. Again, a very versatile guy. Obviously, already has experience playing one-on-one coverage. Not afraid to get into the backfield. He's pretty fast too, because he's got that fast hip movement as well. Allows him to play multiple positions. But let's take a look at the film together and kind of back it up. All right, so over here at the top part of your screen, again, right here, got a good left hand on the wide receiver, sticking with him and batting the ball down, using his hips and turning his head to the ball. That's what Big Al loves to see that. Now here's him playing a safety position, and he gets in and scraps in and gets the tackle. Clemson wants to get after those guys that are a little bit taller. They want to get after those guys that aren't afraid to go after the flats and go after the running back. Here he is playing kind of a free safety position, or no, a cornerback position. I like this one where he also turns his head and his hips and blocks the ball as well. Here's one where he's playing in the slot as a nickel, I guess you could say, or an inside cornerback, and he blocks the ball. And because of his speed and hip movement, he can stay in front of the ball. And another one right here, back shoulder, back corner, end zone pass, turns his head and his hips quickly and appropriately to the ball. That's what you got to love about him. And here he is making a hit on the sideline. But again, at the high school level, he's playing man-to-man corner. He's playing nickel. He's playing safety. He's playing zone. A lot of different things there. He's breaking off of his guy to go make a tackle in the flats. There's a lot of things to love about Corey Gibson right now. And I think that he fits Clemson perfectly, especially if he's going to be out there with Mike Reed. You want somebody who has that experience to play man-to-man coverage, and he definitely has that. So, I mean, obviously from his film, we're very limited on what we can see compared to what the coaches can see. But, I mean, you got to think, you got to like what you see there. Trigga Broussard says, do you think Tyler Brown or Ronan will have an impact at wide receiver this year as at freshman? Let's go back to I can pull up their film too. I want to look at Tyler Brown's film together. See if we can't pull him up real quick. I think Tyler Brown is very fast. I think if anybody has helped Clemson get that speed up, as Dabo Swinney said, get the team speed up, I think it's Tyler Brown, to be honest. Here we go. I'm going to... Senior highlights, playing against Westside. Uh-oh. Playing against my old school. All right, here we go. Tyler Brown, highlight film. Slot receiver here. I mean, you got to like this off the bat. Wide receiver screen to the outside in the flats. He's fighting off a couple of defenders and takes it to the house, looks like. No problems there against Westside, against my alma mater. Again, another slot receiver here going across the middle of the field, doing a mesh point there in the middle. And oh man, what a great move. Just really beating up some guys. Here's another one, bunch to the right. Another kind of screen wide receiver wheel type thing. Breaks a tackle, breaks a second tackle, and takes to the house. So really like what I see about him. He's fast for sure, but he's not only fast, but he runs really good routes. And Clemson has had a problem getting guys that can get separation. And you see Tyler Brown get separation. What a great catch to the outside right on the sideline here. But you see Tyler Brown get that separation with his route running. You know what I mean? Now, Tim Brown gets in here and says, Tyler Brown is really fast. He's a track guy. So is Tim Brown and Tyler Brown related? Is this Tim Brown and Tyler? Is Tim Brown like Tyler Brown's uncle? That's my question. Because, we every now and then we'll get an uncle or a brother or a cousin or a dad. So you got to tell us. If you're Tim Brown, are you Tyler Brown? Are you related to Tyler Brown? But yeah, I thought Tyler Brown was fast. I did a video on him a couple of months ago, I think right when he was first picked up by Clemson. And you guys are just seeing it here with me now. Super fast guy, great route runner. Obviously, Antonio Williams is kind of that already in that position of being that slot receiver, but he's going to fight for it. He's going to fight for it. Tim Brown coworker. Okay, all right, Tim. All right, Tim. I figured it was either Tim Brown related to Tyler Brown or Tim Brown, my football friend at work, my football coworker. Big time Clemson fan too. Yeah, I like Tyler Brown a lot for sure. I mean, God, look at that speed. Tim, you have to tell me, have you coached against Tyler Brown in your experience so far? Or you just seen him on the field as an observer? Because I really like his moves. He doesn't waste a lot of steps. He knows how to use his footwork to be able to get open quickly and to get away from a guy. He's twitchy like CJ Spiller was. He can make that little stutter step and move on to the next guy. And you're just seeing it here in his film. So what not to like, other than the fact that he's doing it against Westside or some of the films against my old school. But yeah, you got to love what you see from Tyler Brown here. Do I think that Tyler Brown is going to play this year? I think he's definitely going to play. They don't have time to sit here and waste with this, right? You can't have brought in Garrett Riley and not put your best weapons out there, no matter how old they are. Yeah, and he had Mazio Bennett on the other side, and really, to be honest with you, arguably Tyler Brown was the better receiver, even though he was rated lower. Really polished. Best friend is his offensive coordinator. Okay, cool. Okay. Special teams not good in their last 3 losses last season. They need to improve there as well. Yeah, maybe Tyler Brown could help them improve in special teams. I don't really see him doing any in this film right here, but what I love about Tyler Brown's film is if you're a Clemson fan, you can see Tim. I don't know who the offensive coordinator is for Greenville, but he's obviously taking plays that Clemson does, which to me helps players at high school level be looked at more closely by Clemson. Because if you're running the same plays, they do it at those teams in Alabama. The teams in Alabama, because they know Dabo Swinney likes teams in Alabama around Birmingham. Those teams around Birmingham are starting to do more plays that Clemson is doing, so that Clemson will look at them more. Because if you watch film and it's the same play, you got to be excited about it because they already know the timing and how to run that play. What are your thoughts on Rams' new head coach? I don't know anything. I have no idea. I don't follow high school football at all. I don't follow my team, that's for sure. When I was at Westside, they were terrible. They had Coach Luckadoo, and they were terrible. But, is what it is, right? Is what it is with that. All right, I'm gonna pull up the main screen here again. Again, if you haven't had a chance, please go in and like the video to help out the algorithm and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Next person up is Ronan Hannafin. And we'll look at him from Cambridge. From Cambridge. Ronan Hannafin. Well, I thought next Ronan. Come on, Ronan. I think I did video on Ronan as well, but junior highlights. A lot of times, once they commit to a team, a lot of times they won't worry about putting up their senior highlights. It's almost like Ronan has taken down his film. Ronan doesn't have anything from... Well, I'll just pull up his junior highlights then. So we'll see. All right, here's Ronan Hannafin's junior highlights. We'll see what he's got going on. Now, first thing you can see, he's not playing in a giant stadium. I mean, he's got trees. Literal trees around here. But takes his punt to the house. Kind of a rugby style player, I think. I think some people in his family played rugby. Outside wide receiver. Scrappy guy. Not afraid of, pretty physical. Runs hard. I don't really know how good his competition is, though, to be honest with you. But his whole family is athletic. His mom's athletic, sister, brother, I think. I think he has a brother and sister. They're athletic. I mean, I know his mom and dad are very athletic. So, and you can see, like in this case, I mean, he's obviously much bigger than the cornerback there. A little bit of everything there. Outside wide receiver to the left here. Got good hands. Again, I just don't know how good the competition is that he plays against, but scrappy guy on defensive side and offensive side of the ball. I mean, just athletic. I mean, look at him run down the quarterback here. Just taking a big deep route. Man, that's a big throw from the quarterback too. A little bit behind him, but he fights off the, again, I don't know how I feel about that cornerback. That cornerback is not Okay, so Tickled, you're saying follow my team? Are you talking about? I'm assuming you're talking about the Rams. Follow your team, Rams. Man, come home for a game. Top facilities in the state. Top facilities in the state. You will fall out. I will welcome you as a booster and alumni. So you're a West Side Ram guy yourself, then? I feel like maybe I should already know this. That you had already told me this in the past. I mean, you gotta, like I said, I like Ronan Hannafin's film. I think that He brings a uniqueness to him, a physicality. You know, we talked about that with Clemson's wide receivers. Seem to get beat around all the time. Seem to get beat off the ball. Seem to not be able to block. Seem to not be aggressive, not get open, not use their hands and arms to separate themselves in the route. And Ronan Hannafin's not going to be shy about using his arms and hands to get open. You know, so just that mentality of getting rid of the weak mentality that they had at the wide receiver position and getting some guys that are tough. And Hannafin is that guy that fits that bill, in my opinion. Now, I don't know how much they're going to play. I honestly feel like preseason earlier on this year, I said that I did feel like Tyler Brown would probably play earlier than not. I don't know about I felt like Hannafin would probably wait. But it all depends on what Clemson really needs at the time. You know, they have to be able to get out there and respond quickly. We can talk about how hyped they are and how excited they are and how ready they are and enthusiastic about the new offense and how they've picked it up so well. But, I mean, until you see it on game day, you really don't know right now. You know, I mean, honestly, Duke is not going to be an easy win. Duke is not the Duke of old. I mean, their wins and losses last year, they had a good win and loss record, but they lost some bad games, some really bad games. They lost to Georgia Tech. You know, they had some good games, and some of their games they barely won. So, and they didn't have the best schedule. They didn't really play a ton of really hard teams. So Duke had a lot of things going for them last year that made them have a good schedule. I think they're going to be set back to reality this year. But that doesn't mean that Clemson can't take it serious and shouldn't take it serious, because they definitely should. I think that the Duke game is really going to tell more about the defense, to be honest with you. Serious question from Andrew Watts. How much of this nervousness from the fan base is about Duke as being better is because of how bad our offense has been? Well, you saw the video before of the stats. 75th in big plays, 79th in yards per play. I mean, horrible numbers compared to your peers. I mean, that's why Dabo Swinney had to make a move. You cannot have horrible numbers compared to your peers and say you're improving. That's not good. Data Racer, what's up? Welcome in. He says, what's this 8-15-23 thing about? That's a big question. So August 15th, 2023 is about, you have to make a decision on whether or not you want to leave the ACC. So if you want to leave the ACC and you wait till after August 15th, then you have a 22-month waiting period before you can actually leave. If you announce before August 15th of this year, you can leave by next year. So you only have to sit out in 2023, or you only have to wait through 2023, and 2024 you can be gone. Now, that doesn't change the buyout and all those things, but you can be gone earlier. Now, if you wait till August the 16th, for example, or the 20th, and then say, well, then you got to wait till past 2025. You know, you got to go through 2023, through 2024, and then not past 20, but you got to wait till 2025. So Data Racer 117, that's what that means, is that August 15th, and it really, this came about out of nowhere. Nobody was really even discussing this on the radio this morning. And then all of a sudden, a Florida State reporter from 24/7 Sports started talking about it. And then some other places on Twitter were talking about it, I think, before him. And so that's a big deal when you start seeing that. Could there be a decision by Florida State? Could there be a decision by Miami? A lot of the rumors you see out there are those two teams are going to go together And it's not going to be Clemson. And it's going to be Florida State and Miami leaving together to go to the Big Ten. A lot of the rumors out there saying that the Big Ten already has expressed that they want to expand to Florida, and those are the two teams that they would take. The concern you have is, as Clemson, you have a big brand, but I'm not necessarily sure the SEC wants to expand to Clemson. The SEC has Georgia just an hour away. They have South Carolina just an hour away. Both directions. So, do you really want that? I don't know. It's not really expansion. You're just trying to pick up a brand, which is not a bad brand, don't get me wrong. But if you're someone that's interested in expansion, like Big Ten obviously seems to be, then you want to get in a market you're not already in. You don't want to get in a market you're already in that you're competing with, not only in recruiting, but in the media and fan base. So I would say, if I'm Clemson, I would want to go to the Big Ten. Obviously, as a fan, I want to go to the SEC because I want to play those teams. But when it comes to realistically, I wouldn't be opposed to going to the Big Ten because they want a presence in the South. We already know that. If Florida State and Miami go and Clemson continues to sit around on their hands, I'm worried about the decision-making of the people in charge at that point. I'm concerned that you'd get stuck in the ACC. And you can say all you want about being 50 million behind, but you can't be 50 million behind. It's not going to hurt you necessarily in NIL, but it'll hurt you in your facilities, and it'll hurt you in what you can provide to the player and to other sports as well. So you're going to be hurting your university's athletics as a whole. It's not going to be good. But anyways, Trigga gets in, says, Ronan reminds me of a bigger Cole Turner, 6'3", currently around 215. I don't know about the speed comparison there, though, because from what I understand, Cole Turner is very fast, pretty fast guy. And he's been able to get behind the line, behind the back of the defense, regularly. So I'm a big critic of Cole Turner, not of him specifically. I'm just concerned because I never expected Cole Turner to be your number one wide receiver deep threat guy. Now, can he be that guy? Yeah, he could be that guy. But if he's that guy, are you making it to the playoffs? I don't know. I worry about that. I mean, he wasn't highly recruited. Does he have skills? Is he athletic? Tickle Tiger, I don't know what happens if they file for bankruptcy. That's a good question, though. Brian Frederick up above says, can freshman linebackers pick up the slack of Dudley's departure? Well, it's unfortunate for TJ Dudley what happened. Obviously, young kids, young men make mistakes. I made mistakes as a young man. I'm still pretty young, 36, so I still make mistakes. I try to make less mistakes. But, being a dad and stuff like that helps you. Being a Christian helps. But TJ, I mean, when I was in college, I did some pretty dumb things and things that I regret, things that I have nightmares over still, things that I wish I wouldn't have done or, wish I didn't have that memory, right? And I'm sure that TJ Dudley feels the same way. I'm just speculating here, but based on what I understand of the situation, it seems like just, an unfortunate situation, right, that happened. And can't, once you lose trust, you really can't build it back. It's very difficult to build it back. It would take a long time to build it back, and you don't have a long time in college. And so it's best to just cut ties and move on. And I believe that was a decision by the players and the staff to just cut ties and move on. Maybe just the players, but when it comes to who is going to be his replacement, he really didn't have a ton of snaps. So it's just going to have to be next man up. You're losing age you're not really losing experience because he didn't have it. You could be losing body composition as far as like comparative to somebody who hasn't been in a college weight room as long, but you've got Barrett Carter, you've got Jeremiah Trotter Jr. The speculation is that they're going to go use a 4-2-5 more often than not. And if that's the case, then Drew Woodaz or Wade Woodaz would be your backup, your rotational guy. And then you would probably put somebody in, that's a true freshman, or a Kobe McLeod, to rotate in after that. But there's no lie, the first string linebackers are scary good. After that is a bag of unknown. You really don't know. Data Racer says Khalil Barnes practicing at linebacker. I have also heard that as well. I haven't mentioned it, but yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me. Khalil Barnes is a guy who he wants you to put him anywhere. I mean, the coaches have been just drooling and bragging over the man. Dad's a pastor. He was the homecoming king at his high school. Literally the superstar on both sides of the ball for his high school. He just wants you to put him where he's needed. A coach's player, right? A guy that's coachable and just wants to play where it's going to benefit the team. And if that's at linebacker, then Khalil Barnes, come on down, because he was a star in the spring game. He had the game-ending winning interception, pick 6. I think he had 2 interceptions, did he not? I know he had the pick 6. Data Racer said put him at wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, hey, Khalil Barnes. I think it was a quarterback though, but I mean, you know what? Now that I say that, let's just look at some of his film. I think I did a video on Khalil Barnes, but let's look at his film together. Let's look at his film together. This is fun. It's kind of like this kind of live show is not as pre-planned out. But we just kind of we just wing it, right? I hope you guys are enjoying it. Khalil Barnes, year 4. Huddle.com. First career passing touchdown. Oh, lefty? A left-handed guy? I didn't know that. I did not know that. A lefty. Was that wide receiver there? Big time catch, yeah. I got a phone call coming in from wifey, so bear with me here. All right, I'm back here. Some of the better safety cornerback guys, also great wide receivers too, as you can tell. By the way, I just got a message. I forgot about this. Later tonight, 10 o'clock, I'm recording a podcast with Locked On Bulldogs, Georgia Bulldogs. So we'll see how that goes. We shall see. Never been on a Georgia Bulldogs podcast before, but I'm starting to actually like the Locked On podcast guys because you could just pick any school you want. I mean, not every school. They don't have every school represented, but you can pick whatever school that you don't, you could pick South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, whoever, and you could listen to 25 minutes of the most up-to-date topic of the day. And everybody who signs up for that has to do one 25-minute topic a day or 30-minute topic a day or whatever. I think it's a pretty cool concept. If you can keep up with that, that's a lot of work to do a podcast, a 30-minute podcast every single day. I don't know if they do it on the weekends, but 5 days a week is pretty tough. I wouldn't. I mean, I had thought about doing it for Clemson, but I wouldn't. All right, let's look at. I'm paying attention now here. Was that his team that had the Georgia Bulldog logo? Oh man, interception? Cross the middle. Watch him. Oh, man. Just. Oh, man. Wow. Wow. Did you see that? Did you see that? 5-6 steps there. Gone. What's up, Bronco? Welcome in. Bronco is one of our members. You want to be a member, you hit join for 99 cents a month. You can be a member and have cool emojis and badges just like Bronco. Watching film of Khalil Barnes right now. I'll probably wrap this up here in about 9:45 because I got to go be on a Georgia Bulldog podcast. Go figure. Go figure. All right, that was Khalil Barnes. I mean, you got to like what you see from Khalil Barnes, do you not? Let's see what else is in the message boards tonight before we go. Joe Burrow gets injured. From what I understand, it looks like it's just a calf injury. But, I mean, you're Cincinnati. You're worried about that. Joe Burrow, man. Bronco says, hopefully it's a constructive conversation. We'll see. So I did a team evaluation where I graded Georgia. I did a team evaluation where I graded Georgia's offense. And I basically said, Marcus Rosemy-Jacksaint, I went by what they did last year. Rosemy-Jacksaint, I gave him 1 out of 10, right? I didn't really give anybody like a 3 or, I didn't give anybody a really low score so far. I haven't, but like Ladd McConkey, Dominic Lovett, 2 guys that I think are really good wide receivers for them. The right side, the middle of their offensive line seems decent. They've played a lot. Truss, Van Pran, Ratledge. Amarius Mims is moving into a spot he hasn't before. Ernest Green III is moving into a spot for the first time. So you don't really know. Then you have Brock Bowers, who's the best player on the team on the offense, I think. And then Carson Beck, who's an unknown, backup. And then Kendall Milton, who really may or may not even be the best running back on the team, depending on who they end up going with. So Tickle Tiger says, are you ready for some football? Come watch 4-star QB. Who's the QB there? What's his name again? I can't think of it off the top. It's not Gunner, right? No, it's not. It's something. I've seen film on him. The dude has a cannon. The thing about the guy is he has a cannon. But when I watched his film, all I really saw was a bunch of deep balls. And not a knock on him as a bad player. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he definitely needs to improve his film. If he can throw different route tree and get open, then that's great. I just wanted to see it in film, and I really didn't see it. I saw a ton of him just throwing deep balls all the time. But, you got to show that you can hit every route on the route tree in stride, where it needs to be, right? So that would be my only feedback for the guy from Westside. I mean, obviously, I'd love to see a guy from Westside do great, but then again, I also have Georgia. I mean, Georgia just a legit defense again. Michael Williams, Nazir Stackhouse, Warren Brinson, Chaz Chambliss, Jamin Dumas-Johnson, Samel Mondin, Jalen Walker, Dalen Everett. Still really don't know much about Dalen Everett, but Javon Bullard, Malachi Starks, Kamari Lassiter, Tyke Smith. I mean, Malachi Starks, best player on the team. Javon Bullard, great player. Mondin and Dumas Johnson, great player. The defense is going to be great again. Trigga says, there's an offensive tackle in Spartanburg County on our radar, 6'6", 290. Stephen Odell something. Should keep an eye on him. Is that 2024 class? Is that 2024 class? Have they already? I mean, I don't know that name from the 2024 class. Or is it 2025? I don't see that name 2025. So 2024, I mean, they don't have any other offers. So the question is, where's he at? So if I go look at players, and you said offensive tackle in the state is in South Carolina. So South Carolina. I'm not seeing anybody. 6'6". I'm not seeing anybody in 2024 with what you're talking. 2025. 2025 South Carolina, not seeing it. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing this. Spartanburg County 6'6", 290 guy. Not seeing it right now. But either way, well, I'm going to go ahead and get ready for this Georgia Bulldog podcast that I'm going to be a guest on. Hopefully represent Clemson well. And I hope everybody had a good night. Thank you for being a part of the show again. Not really like our more staged or prepped, planned out show, but definitely something where we could kind of talk through some of the big topics of the day, listen in on some of the comments and things that were said at the ACC kickoff from Dabo and Tyler Davis and Cade Klubnik and Will Putnam. Good to get information from them, get Dabo Swinney out there and see what he has to say. Nice to see the excitement around the offense again. Also nice for us to sit down and watch some film on players that they have committed and or already on the team. So been a good show. I really appreciate everybody. And again, the chat. I hope you like this format. Hope it's fun for you. I'm assuming tomorrow's Friday. So yeah, tomorrow we're going to have an after work show, and that will be from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. or later, depending on how long we want to go. But we'll do an after work show tomorrow just to continue chatting, getting ready for college football. Because guess what? This is the last Friday before fall camp. This is it. Take your little break, take your little siesta, get you some rest in, because you're going to get your butt whipped next weekend. And as always, Tiger fans, we'll see you at the top of the hill.